Believed that if I was taking the chance of having cancer again away by having a mastectomy, by having all the breast tissue removed, I believed that I was reducing the chance of it coming back, and that if I had the reconstruction at that time, then I wouldn't ever have to go back to them again. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take the whole, to just put it behind me. So I knew that whenever I would go in, it was a really big thing to do. I didn't know what it was going to be like, how it was going to affect me. It was just a split second decision. I left the hospital, it was June, and I got an appointment for the second week of August. So there was a wee bit of time in between, a wee bit of normality. So I went back to normal life, let my hair grow back a wee bit, and I just ignored the whole thing until about an hour before I had to go. And we went over to the hospital, and at that stage there was 3 doctors. They actually came into the ward. This would have been the day before the surgery, and they had a look at my breasts and drew on me, with black marker. So I was, just measuring up and seeing what they could do, and they gave you a rough idea of what size it would be, whenever it was reconstructed. And I suppose they talked me through what would happen the next day. They did tell me to expect to feel as if I'd been run over by a bus, and that it would be, just like really, really painful. I went down about 8:30 in the morning, so it was great not having to wait. One of the most horrible things that happened that night was somebody came to get bloods, as they do, and then they came back up and told me that my bloods weren't very good. So it absolutely freaked me out, really panicked me. And what had happened was the bloods had been left lying too long and they congealed. So there was nothing wrong with my bloods except that they'd been lying in the corner. So I didn't sleep all night, really, really worrying about what was wrong and what had showed up. And then the next morning when I told the nurse, was my bloods okay this time? She said that, oh sure, you should have told me, you should have rang me and I would have explained that, a bit better. But anyway, I went down at about 8:30, 8:45 in the morning. I was back up about 3:30, and I came round and my husband was there, and it just felt like, I suppose when you've had a cesarean, when you've had a lumpectomy, I think there's pain just feels like pain, really. And it felt really immobile, and I thought I'd be all bandaged up, but you could actually sort of nearly see, within a day they had you up and out of bed, and you get a shower, and I didn't. My blood pressure must have went really low because I passed out and sort of had to be carted into the bed. But that was the most dramatic sort of part of it, But other than that, it was straight back up, get showered. The doctors, the surgeons come in and they were asking you, well, what do you think? I was a bit shocked because there was no nipple there. And it never crossed my mind that I wouldn't have a nipple, so that really, really stunned me, And, but I got, it was okay because they said that I could have that tattooed on, or, but at a later date. There was strains, and they were very uncomfortable, So I think I was in hospital for maybe 3 to 4 days after, and then you were out, and it was a nurse who was coming to the house and checking the drains, and the drains seemed to stay in forever. So what they had was a wee flower bag, like a wee cat. I suppose it would be trendy now, a wee cat kitten bag maybe, I sort of went shopping and bought loads of wee cardigans, like wee wraps, and learned to layer up, my dressing, so that you would have a t-shirt and then you would wear wee cardigans, and then sort of to cover it all up. But you could go out with the wee bag tucked under your cardigan, and it really, you were up and moving pretty quickly. So I come out of hospital, and the district nurse eventually took the drains out, and I started going for wee walks into the town and doing a wee bit more each day. It was just great to have survived it all and to have made it through, and I'm delighted with the outcome. I haven't looked back. Well, I do layer. I wear layers of clothing because some clothes would be, you would notice the one nipple, so I wear a lot of scarves and just cover. Well, that's probably me. Probably maybe other people don't notice, but I feel more comfortable wearing scarves or wearing layers of clothes, and outside of that, it hasn't really had any negative impact. I run, I walk, I swim. The only thing would be in changing rooms. I'm a wee bit, I have to make sure that, I'm screened, that I've got, I turn away and make sure that maybe I get a closed cubicle, or, and I wouldn't shower sort of without clothes, or, in front of other people. And I don't take baths anymore because I don't like looking down at myself, where I'm happy enough to have showers. Or if I was having a bath, I would use a muslin, one of the big large muslins, and I would use that maybe to kind of just to give me a wee bit of maybe the children might come in, or if somebody sees me. So I'm a wee bit self-conscious maybe without clothes. And I wear a lot of wee camis and things like that, so that I'm never fully naked. But outside of that, there's, just feel like a normal person again. And it's great not to be left with with nothing there. My donor site would be probably the site that gives me the most bother, because it would be a bit itchy at times, and I'm always sort of finding things to scratch with, that would be the main thing, in the cold weather, and the scar tissue would feel itchy and a wee bit uncomfortable. So sometimes, you might really want to get home and take a bra off, or you might go braless because, you don't want to be restricted, So, but the donor site, outside of that, it's fine. I had to work an awful lot at physio after the surgery. In August, probably, I was going towards Herceptin treatment, and I went to physio for about maybe 2 or 3 months. And the exercises, just to shrug your shoulders was really quite hard and sore. But within a couple of weeks, we were sort of a good 90-degree movement on the arm. And so I think that really, really helped, to have to do that, because otherwise, if I had been left to my own devices, I probably would have thought, oh God, I can't do this, and I would have restricted my own movements. But they were saying, no, move it, and it did come back really I would probably have really good mobility on that side. But I go to yoga to make sure that I, have really good sort of flexibility and to really work it,